So I remember back in like 2020 when every Asian kid on TikTok was trying to cook somebody for like doing an art major type shit, right? Like, oh yeah, bro, y'all are doing art majors. I'm a comp sci major. I'm gonna be employed and y'all gonna be working at Starbucks, right? Flash forward to 2025, and now those same comp sci majors are in the exact same Starbucks as these art majors. No, I don't really mean to hate, right? Cause I don't wish that on anybody, but I just think it's like a divine form of karma. But if there's one thing I'm gonna hate on, it's gonna be that insincerity, right? Because half of these kids realistically didn't even like computer science that much. They were just chasing the bag, right? And to that extent, it kind of got me wondering, okay, well, common sense applies, right? If this is such a lucrative major that everybody's going for, then your competition is going to be so much more vast than what you could realistically even handle. Like, it's just common sense, right? I've been seeing a lot of studies and like videos about how like comp sci majors are facing unemployment, right? And it just kind of like hits me. What did you expect to happen when you were all flooding the market? And who did you think you were really going to be competing with? Competing in quotes, by the way, because like, were you ever really in competition with these people, these other people who are genuinely about this shit, right? It kind of got to a point where I started realizing, like, at this point, in the day and age that we are in now, it's more profitable to just like chase your dreams. Literally, just chase your dreams. Because if you really have passion for something, like that shit will stick. It'll land. You might as well just be an art major. You might as well just pursue that obscure degree that everyone tells you is going to be useless as hell. You might as well. Because at this point in the economy that we're in, you're going to have the same chances of being successful. If you're going to be at that Starbucks anyways, bro, just chase your dreams. Because at the end of the day, that passion will speak for itself. Now, truthfully speaking, the only skill that you really, really need to get by is just the ability to socialize. Just that ability to like maintain relationships with people and to create new connections. I think this generation has done a lot to kind of normalize social ineptitude. There were so many jokes about having social anxiety, or like just as if it's some kind of like quirk and not some kind of like flaw or skill that you need to build up on. I'm not saying that everyone needs to be like super introverted, but it gets to a point, you know, and I have a problem with those labels to begin with. I just, it doesn't make sense to me trying to define yourself into something so like simple of a category to such an extent that when it turns out that you kind of break that category in a way, all of a sudden you have to make amendments and you have to make subcategories. Like, oh yeah, I'm an introvert with extroverted tendencies. I'm an ambivert. I'm actually a rising sun Libra, which is why I'm not like these other Libras. Like, it gets to a point, you know, like we've lost the fucking plot. I don't understand what the point of it was to begin with if you were just gonna like not be a part of that mold. I don't understand the generation's obsession with fitting into a mold and putting yourself into a label. People seem kind of desperate to like define themselves in a certain type of way when you are obviously gonna be so much more multifaceted than anything one word could just describe. And it sucks too, because I used to really sympathize with these people. Like, oh, why do I even have to talk to people? My work should just speak for itself. As if that was such a like enlightened take. But it never was, because and I'm a biology major, right? Everything I'm saying is coming from the perspective of a STEM major. So I'm not a butthurt art major who's trying to get back at no, I'm a STEM major. No. And it's humanity, or humans, or people down to their core are social creatures. You cannot reject that just for the sake of maintaining this ideal of anxiety or some type of like social apathy. Like, no, you have to get out there and I guess kind of sell yourself. You have to get out there and network. You have to get out there and talk to people. You cannot make it in life, at least not with ease, just with the work. Sometimes the work won't speak for itself. Now, when you really love something, that's what creates connections. People will see that and people will connect to you over it. I think a lot of introverts kind of feel a type of way about extroverts that they don't really have to. And again, first of all, this is all just social perception. People who define themselves as introverts looking at other people who they define as extroverts. Truth be told, most of those people who they define as extroverts don't even really consider themselves as such. They just consider themselves people. In the effort of creating a label to define yourself, you kind of simultaneously limit yourself. You enclose your personality into something that just cannot reach others. Once you put yourself in a box, you can't scratch past that cardboard. Now, I say this as someone who, again, has also dealt with like social anxieties, and it's just something that I always felt like I had to overcome. It wasn't up to the world to make these accommodations for me because I'm just one person. And even though there's so many people who relate to what I'm saying, or that feeling of social ineptitude or apathy or that lack of caring, you know, this isn't my quote, but the price you pay for convenience is the price you pay for community is convenience. I fucked that whole quote up. But it gets to a point, you know, like even me with social anxiety as a little kid, I knew that it wasn't up to the world to make those accommodations for me. It was up to me to overcome that feeling of inadequacy and just relate to people, just talk to people. And I think, like I said, a lot of introverts feel a type of way towards those who they perceive as extroverts. People isolate themselves and kind of blame others for it. Like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me, it's everybody else, you know? Like, oh, I like my peace. I like my peace too. I have been called an extrovert, I've been called an introvert, but, you know, as much as I go out, I also have a social battery. I also have to recharge. You know, if I'm out for a whole week, I gotta be inside for at least 2 weeks. So I'm not speaking as someone who doesn't understand that feeling of introvertedness, but I'm trying to speak as someone who, you know, even beyond my lack of energy, even beyond my apathy, that desperately speaking, I want to relate to people. I want to talk to people. And that goes so much farther than people are willing to give it credit for. Your social anxiety isn't something that other people need to step around. Like your glass on the street on their way back home from a walk. You don't want to be like that. We're a social fucking species. I guess a lot of people complain about even just the prospect of having to network. Again, like, cause why should I even have to sell myself? Should the work not speak for itself? But it's like, no, the work isn't going to speak for itself. You have to speak for yourself. You could make the greatest art piece in the world, and some people won't even notice it because you won't sell it, you won't market it. And people hate that. You know, there's lots of social commentary about how we're kind of followers and how, you know, we listen to too many agendas and we have to have some selling point. But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We're a social species. We it's built in our biology. It's literally built in your wiring. It's literally built in your brain to just that ability and also that secret desire to talk to people. I guess maybe it kind of ties back to the whole hedgehog's dilemma or whatever, where that price you pay for the warmth and comfort of community is the chances of being pricked and spiked by others who you become close to. But that risk is always worth taking. It's never not worth taking. I'm never so scared of being pricked that I'll let myself be in the cold. I'm cold as fuck right now. I'm not scared of relating to people.